Home to you. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This is the Morning Sports Desk for Wednesday, November 29th. Corey, we have some local sports news to actually talk about here because we are now not quite in the full swing of things, but they're ramping up pretty quickly for the winter sports season, which means that we should probably start talking about some of the games that we're going to be putting out on the air over the course of the next few months.
Well, we do have a lot. Starting on Saturday, we kick off our winter sports broadcast schedule with the finals from the Dennis Kotz Wrestling Memorial Tournament at Wadena Deer Creek.
All right.
They're scheduled to go roughly around 4 o'clock. It's a little, it just kind of depends on how the rest of the tournament goes. But you'll be able to listen to the finals of all those weight classes beginning around 4 o'clock on KWAD. And then we run, CJ, very, very busy, 4 events a week through the second week of February. Before we start getting into like section wrestling, section hockey, girls basketball, not far behind that, with boys basketball then following. So we got a lot on the calendar again this winter, and it all kind of begins this Saturday, which is really fun.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of games. I've kind of gently looked at the schedule so far. I haven't quite taken that deep dive yet, or at least not until this morning.
Sure, yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff. There's going to be a lot of games, which is what we like doing. So, I mean, it's like, oh, I got to do another game this week. Okay, like, fine by me. But I mean, we got a lot of stuff, and that's kind of what we've tried to do. And it's obviously going to help out the sports desk because we like to talk about the games that we do the day before. But Corey, you're the mastermind behind everything. So when it comes to putting together the broadcast schedule, what do you kind of look for? How do you put this thing together?
What's the word I'm looking for? Fast and loose. No, the breakdown for this winter is going to be, there are 2 games a week on KWAD, as KWAD is the host site, I guess, for Wadena Deer Creek activities. So we'll have Wolverine sports on KWAD throughout the entire winter, 2 events a week. On the Fan, we will have a Staples Motley Cardinal game of the week. That will be a 1 a week there. And then on the Superstation K106, we'll have a regional game of the week. So that is our simple breakdown of at least what's going on each station throughout the entire season. We have close to a handful of boys hockey games for Wadena Deer Creek, close to a handful of wrestling events, and just a little over a handful of boys and girls basketball throughout the regular season. In particular, a couple. It's hard to look ahead when you're not even to December yet, to the end of towards the end of the regular season. But we do have a Henning at Wadena Deer Creek boys basketball game.
That should be pretty good.
Scheduled for February 6th. I would suspect those 2 to be towards the top of that Park Region Conference at the end of the season. I think if you talk to both of those coaches, they would expect to be in the mix at the end of the year as well. I think that's going to be a really fun one. As a matter of fact, the week prior, we're going to have a Henning at Wadena Deer Creek girls basketball game. And that one's kind of fun because that is going to be an afternoon game, so they can play that varsity game in front of the student body. So that's kind of a neat experience. If I remember correctly, CJ, you did one of those last year, correct?
Yeah. We did one for the boys for Wadena Deer Creek and Bertha Hewitt. And I believe that they might be doing that in Bertha this year. I'm not quite sure. I haven't taken a look at each of their schools' official schedules. But yeah, like they get an opportunity to have the entire student body just take an afternoon, and they all get to be in the gym and be a little restless and get to have a full packed gym experience. It was really fun to get to be there in the thick of it. And so it's really cool that now they're getting to do that for the girls basketball team, and Henning is the team that agreed to do it with them this year. So it's going to be fun. That's a fun atmosphere for everybody to be in. And we talked about this at the time last year, just really fun too, to get a lot of those kids that maybe the first time they get to watch a basketball game and to kind of be their introduction into sports, which is really impactful as well.
And I love the idea of the atmosphere, like you just talked about. One of the things that has started to happen more recently that I also really enjoy are these girls and boys basketball doubleheaders, where both varsity teams play in the same spot on the same night. I think that's really fun too, because for the same reason, you get a few more people in the gymnasium. Friends get to watch each other, right? The boys team gets to cheer on the girls, and the girls vice versa. We have a couple of girls boys double headers on the air this year as well, and I always really look forward to those. It's a little different atmosphere. It's no one's fault, but sometimes on a Tuesday night in January, it's cold, man, and it's just hard. It's just hard to gear up and drum up excitement for stuff like that. And when you have these double headers, it's just inherently in, and I appreciate those too.
Yeah, it's a good way to kind of do that. Tuesday, January 9th, there's a girls and boys doubleheader, Wadena Deer Creek at Monaga, that we're going to have right here on KWAD. And yeah, I mean, it's obviously there should be some good basketball games for both the boys and the girls, but yeah, like you said, it just gets to have that fun atmosphere. There's just more people inherently in the gym. Things are just pretty good for a Tuesday night in January, all things considered. So
should mention, because you mentioned one, Parker's Prairie at New York Mills, girls boys basketball doubleheader, Monday, December 18th.
All right. As they say in basketball and hockey and wrestling, let's do that basketball, hockey, and wrestling.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly right. Hey, speaking of doing that hockey, the Wild are 1-0 in the John Hynes era. They get a 3-1 win at the XL Energy Center over the St. Louis Blues, snapping a 7-game winless streak.
Yep.
I'm sure that was completely the problem. All of the Wild's issues are completely fixed, and they will win every single game from here on out.
I mean, show me evidence that isn't the case.
I mean, right now, based on this trajectory, they are going to go undefeated the rest of the season.
This might be the ultimate in-season turnaround that's ever existed. They're going to go from 27th in a league of 30 to
aren't they up to 32 teams now, though, because they added Vegas and Seattle?
Whatever. It's roughly 30. I say 30 for every professional sports franchise, because it's give or take.
Give or take.
They're 27th out of less than 35 teams. And they're going to go undefeated the rest of the way.
Yeah.
They're going to sweep their way through the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's going to be the most lopsided, dominating, boring season for everyone else in the entire league except for Minnesota Wild.
They're going to do the 2019 Blues, where they fired, I believe it was Mike Yeo, and they ended up winning the cup later that year. So
shout out Mike Yeo.
So all the while,
without his efforts, they would have never turned the corner they needed to win the cup.
Yeah, darn shame it didn't work for the Wild when they did that.
Too bad, right?
Too bad. It's kind of the thing when you fire a head coach and the team will inevitably win that first game after them in any sport, because everybody kind of gets a little fire lit under them. And they're like, oh boy, that.
Somebody had to get blamed, but it could have easily been any of us.
You can't fire all the players, but you can fire the coach, is pretty much how the adage goes. So that's kind of the thing is, does this consistently hold up, or is this just everybody, somebody gets fired at your work and you're like, whoa, I better make sure I'm a little on I better show up a few minutes early today, honey. Just somebody got fired. I don't want to be the next guy that they're looking to. So that's kind of how that thing kind of shakes out. For the Timberwolves, things are looking pretty darn good. And they were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. Chet Holmgren made his triumphant return.
What's up, Chet?
To the Target Center, where he got completely dominated in the block by Rudy Gobert, which shouldn't be a shock to anybody. It'd be shocking if it was the opposite.
There's no surprises with Chet. Everyone knows everything that he can do. And we were messaged back and forth a little bit last night even, and as I put it, his weakness is his weakness.
Yeah.
His physicality, he's
just scrawny.
He's 7 feet tall and weighs 205 pounds.
He's a toothpick, you know?
Yep.
But that's not even an indictment on Chet. It's just how good Rudy.
That's a bad matchup.
It's just Rudy's just one of the best rim defenders in the NBA. And now we finally see like he trusts his defense. He trusts where he's at on the floor, where his guys are at.
Yep.
And overall, just a great performance. Anthony Edwards, the Wolves did not play a great first half, but they hung around. Anthony Edwards had like the first 10 points for the Wolves coming out of the third quarter and coming into the third quarter. And then he tries to go up on a drive. First of all, Anthony Edwards gets bullied every single time he goes into the low block. Shea Gregorius-Alexander, or whatever his name is for the Thunder, literally does this, Corey. He does this. And he gets a foul called on him. He just does a head bob.
Yeah.
Unbelievable whistles that the Wolves do not get to this day.
It's NBA officiating has a major problem. It's not just the Wolves. It is, I mean, people nationally are talking about it.
Yeah.
About how, if the offensive, the number of times offensive players can initiate the contact and throw their head back like they've been,
punched in the gut.
Yeah, exactly. And then a defensive foul is called. They have a huge problem, and other than just straight up fixing it, I don't know how they're ever going to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And Shea Gregorius-Alexander is like if Joel Embiid was a guard. Just envision it that way. Just the way that basically gets every single whistle.
It's I'm doing this just for you.
Yeah.
Gilgeous.
There you go.
Shea Gilgeous.
He's Canadian. I don't care. When they can actually beat the Wolves, I'll get his name right.
Wow.
And so the Wolves end up winning, but Anthony Edwards goes up for a drive. He tries to go up for a dunk, actually. A guy tries to take a charge, and Anthony Edwards just basically goes flying, lands on his hip. Like the full weight of his body lands on his hip after basically jumping all the way up to the rim.
Yep.
And he shot his free throws. He made one of them and then tried to go down the floor a couple times and basically had to just walk over to the bench and tell Finch, like, you got to call a timeout. Like, I can't. And so he went to the locker room, got iced up, did not return for the rest of the game. And on the broadcast, Jim Pete said somebody from the Wolves has to step up. Is it going to be Cat? Is it going to be Rudy? Is it going to be Kyle Anderson? Is it going to be Mike Conley? Corey, who was it?
Well, Troy Brown Jr., who we all know and love, had 12 points in the fourth quarter to kind of take over some of the scoring. I saw Mike Conley Jr. played really well, just as far as
call him Bite.
Just as far as being that steady ship that they needed.
It was a team effort.
I saw some notes that were like he normally plays pretty limited minutes, kind of in that time frame, and from when Ant got hurt, whatever, just as like a normal rotation, and he came in at 36 years old, just righted the ship, and that allowed then beloved Troy Brown Jr. to come in and drop a dozen in the quarter.
Made a couple big threes. There was a point I made his free throws late. So did Cat. And Rudy, of course, had the good rim defense. You talked about Conley being the leader. It was a team effort. Troy Brown Jr. gets the credit because he ends up scoring the points. But, he had a couple of good threes. He had a drive to Troy Brown Jr. late in the game. He tried to force feed it to Rudy, and it ended up being a turnover. And then the next time he gets the ball, it's like almost the exact same situation. I leaned to my wife, who is just sitting in the game reading like a book on her phone because I'm just watching the game. And she, to her, she's not paying attention to me. Like, he's got to just go and take it and go strong to the rim next time. And he does it. He goes strong to the rim next time. And I look at my wife and I'm like, yes, see, he did it. And she's like, wait, what did you say? Cool. Awesome.
Way to go. Great call.
I'm glad you had that. So he played well. So the Wolves are still number 1 in the West. The Thunder were number 2. The Wolves do not get into the in-season tournament. Sacramento will do that. The Wolves, instead of getting to play games in that tournament, will instead draw the Memphis Grizzlies, who are one of the bottom teams in the West, and the official bottom team in the West, the San Antonio Spurs.
But Wemby, baby.
Troy
Brown Jr. from?
I'm going to go Kentucky.
Incorrect.
Kansas.
Incorrect, but you're moving in the right direction geographically.
Kansas
speaking.
State.
Nope.
Now Oklahoma, Texas.
No. Now you're going the wrong direction.
I got to keep going west.
You got to keep going.
Go west, young man. USC.
North.
Gonzaga.
South.
South. God.
I want to just keep
UCLA.
Doing this. It's Oregon.
Oregon. That'll do it.
Do we know the Ant prognosis?
I think basically just a bruised hip, but there's no official announcement yet. My guess is the Wolves play Utah on Thursday. My guess is they just say, you know what? We got this, Ant. You just take a breather. Sure. And we'll be okay. One last thing, Corey, before we let you get out of here. Who's playing football for the Minnesota Golden Gophers in their bowl game?
Not their true freshman running back who hasn't played a snap all season. He entered the transfer portal.
Yay.
Not their third string quarterback who has entered the transfer portal. But here's the thing. If you enter the transfer portal, are you for sure not playing? Is that how it works?
I think why would you get hurt playing for a team you're already going to leave?
Ethan Kaliakmanis, the Greek freak, is entered the transfer portal.
Well, that.
Do you know who's left? Their senior backup.
Cole Kramer, the Wildcat quarterback.
The senior backup. That's never good.
Yeah.
And then a walk-on freshman. That's the quarterback room.
Row the boat.
It's not great. All right, hold on before I go. Think I can make it?
I think you can. He's trying to do a behind-the-back pass to his
I got a mini hoop.
Over-the-door mini hoop.
Airball.
Darn it.
I got to go.
All right, well, we thought he had it. He missed it by a mile. For those of you who could not see. It was pretty embarrassing. But he's gone, so I can say that. All right, this has been the Morning Sports Desk for Wednesday, November 29th. It's 7:31 on KWAD, time for MNN News.
Minnesota News Network on Friends Home. Mayo Clinic officials say a $5 billion expansion in downtown